I never imagined that checking my credit card statement would feel like being punched in the stomach. But there I was, staring at my laptop screen at 2 in the morning, watching charges scroll past my eyes like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Resort fees in Cancun, first-class airline tickets, premium all-inclusive meal packages, spa treatments, jet ski rentals. Every single charge made while I was sitting alone in my apartment, eating leftover pasta, and wondering why my family hadn't invited me to join them. The total at the bottom of the screen made my hands shake. $17,462. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. $17,000 that I didn't spend. $17,000 charged to my card by people who were supposed to love me, my family, my own blood, and they hadn't even bothered to ask permission. My name is Maya Hartley, and 6 months ago I thought I had my life figured out. I was 38 years old, working as a senior marketing coordinator for a mid-sized tech company in Portland. I lived in a modest but comfortable one-bedroom apartment in the Pearl District with exposed brick walls and big windows that let in the morning light. I had a stable job that paid well enough, a small circle of close friends, and what I believed was a loving family who cared about me. I was wrong about that last part. I'm the middle child in a family of 5 kids, which means I spent most of my childhood being overlooked. My older sister Vanessa was the golden child, the one who got perfect grades and married a successful lawyer, and produced 2 picture-perfect grandchildren. My younger brother Marcus was the baby, the charming one who could do no wrong even when he dropped out of college twice and moved back home 3 times before finally finding his footing as a real estate agent. Then there were the twins, Gabriella and Julian, who were so close to each other that they functioned as their own unit and barely needed the rest of us. And then there was me, Maya, the forgotten middle child who was reliable and responsible, and always there when anyone needed something, but never quite special enough to be celebrated. I was the one who helped Mom with her technology problems at midnight. I was the one who loaned Marcus money when he was between jobs. I was the one who babysat Vanessa's kids every time she needed a break. I was the one who listened to Gabriella's relationship problems for hours on the phone. I showed up for everyone, and I told myself that's what family meant. My parents, Linda and Robert Hartley, had been married for 43 years. Dad was a retired high school principal who spent his days working in his woodshop and complaining about his knees. Mom was a former elementary school teacher who now spent her time organizing family events, volunteering at church, and posting inspirational quotes on Facebook. They lived in a 4-bedroom house in the suburbs of Seattle where we all grew up, the same house where we celebrated every holiday and birthday and milestone. I tried to visit them at least once a month, making the 3-hour drive from Portland to Seattle on weekends when I could. The visits were fine, nothing special. We'd have dinner together, watch some television, maybe play a board game. Mom would ask about my job, and then spend the rest of the conversation talking about Vanessa's kids or Marcus's latest real estate deal. Dad would show me whatever project he was building in his workshop. I'd hug them goodbye and drive back to Portland feeling vaguely empty, but telling myself that's just how family dynamics work when you're the middle child. Money had always been a sensitive topic in our family, but not because we didn't have enough. Dad's pension was solid, and my parents had been careful savers their whole lives. They owned their house outright and had a comfortable retirement fund. The sensitivity came from the constant comparisons and the unspoken scorekeeping. Vanessa married rich, so she never needed help. Marcus struggled, so he got help constantly. The twins were creative types who worked in the arts and made just enough to get by, so they got occasional help. And me? I was doing fine on my own, so nobody thought about whether I might need support too. I'd been careful with money my whole adult life. I had a decent emergency fund, contributed to my retirement account, and lived within my means. I didn't have expensive tastes or extravagant hobbies. My biggest indulgence was my monthly book club subscription and occasional nice dinners with friends. I drove a 7-year-old Honda that ran perfectly fine. I bought clothes on sale. I packed my lunch for work most days. I was responsible, maybe boring, but I felt secure. That security came from hard lessons learned early. When I was 25, I'd made the mistake of co-signing a lease for Marcus when he wanted to move into an apartment he couldn't quite afford on his own. He swore he'd make every payment on time. He didn't. He was late 3 months in a row. And then he just stopped paying altogether when he decided to move to California to find himself. I ended up covering 6 months of rent on an apartment I didn't live in just to avoid destroying my credit score. Marcus never paid me back. He said he would, constantly, but there was always some reason why he couldn't right now. Eventually, I stopped asking because it was clear I'd never see that money again. That experience taught me to be protective of my finances. I stopped lending money to family members, which earned me a reputation for being stingy, even though I'd lost nearly $8,000 helping Marcus. I kept my credit cards to myself. I didn't share my bank account information. I was careful about who had access to what. Or at least I thought I was. The mistake happened 18 months before the Cancun incident, and it seemed innocent at the time. My parents wanted to book a hotel for a family wedding in San Francisco. The whole family was going, and Mom was coordinating everything. She called me one evening, frustrated because the hotel website wasn't working properly on her old computer. She tried to book the rooms 3 times and kept getting error messages. "Can you just book it for us and we'll pay you back, Maya?" Mom asked. "I've got all the details written down. I just can't get this stupid website to cooperate." I was at my desk working on a presentation for a client meeting the next day. I was stressed and distracted, and Mom sounded so frustrated that I wanted to help. "Sure, Mom. Just text me the details and I'll take care of it." She texted me the hotel name, the dates, and the room types they needed. She also asked me to book rooms for Vanessa's family and for Marcus since she was coordinating everything. I pulled up the hotel website, entered all the information, and put it on my credit card. The total was about $2,400 for 3 rooms for 3 nights. Mom said she'd write me a check when I came to visit the following weekend. I drove up to Seattle that Saturday like I'd promised. We had a nice dinner. I helped Dad fix a wobbly chair in the kitchen. I played with Vanessa's kids. And when I was getting ready to leave, I reminded Mom about the hotel payment. "Oh, right," she said, looking up from the dishes she was washing. "Can you just leave your card on file for the hotel? That way if we need to add any charges or extend our stay, it'll be easier. We'll settle up everything after the wedding." I hesitated for a moment. Something felt off about that request, but I couldn't quite articulate why. Mom was looking at me with that expression she got when she was trying to be patient with someone who was being difficult. I didn't want to seem untrusting or petty over something so small. "Okay," I said. "But just for the wedding weekend, right? You'll take care of any extra charges?" "Of course, honey. You know we're good for it." I left my card on file. The wedding weekend came and went. It was fine, a little boring, the usual family gathering where I felt like furniture. A week later, Mom handed me a check for the hotel rooms. I deposited it and thought nothing more about it. I assumed my card had been removed from the hotel account. I never thought to call and check. That was my mistake. That small moment of trust, of not wanting to seem difficult, of believing that my mother would handle things responsibly. That's the crack that everything else fell through. Life continued normally for over a year after that. I worked, I visited my parents when I could. I showed up for family birthdays and holidays. Nothing seemed different or wrong. My family treated me the same way they always had, with casual affection and mild disinterest. I was there when they needed me, invisible when they didn't. The first hint that something was wrong came in late August, about 6 weeks before the Cancun trip. I was having coffee with my friend Rachel, who I'd known since college. Rachel was a lawyer who specialized in family law, and she'd seen enough family dysfunction to make her permanently cynical about human nature. We met every couple of weeks at a cafe near my office to catch up. I was telling her about helping my parents set up a new streaming service on their television, which had taken 3 hours of my Saturday, and involved me driving to Seattle and back in one day. Rachel listened with that expression she got when she thought I was being taken advantage of, but didn't want to say so directly. "Maya, can I ask you something?" Rachel set down her coffee cup and looked at me seriously. "When was the last time your family did something for you? Not with you, but for you specifically?" I opened my mouth to answer, and realized I couldn't think of a single example. Well, they include me in family events, I said weakly. That's not the same thing. That's them tolerating your presence at things that are happening anyway. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel, it means a lot to us. Now back to the story. When did they last go out of their way to help you with something you needed? I felt defensive. They're my family. They love me. Just because they're not constantly fawning over me doesn't mean they don't care. Rachel held up her hands. I'm not trying to upset you. I'm just saying, from the outside looking in, it seems like you give a lot and don't get much back. And I worry about you. I'm fine, I said, forcing a smile. I know my role in the family. I've made peace with it. Rachel didn't look convinced, but she dropped the subject. We talked about other things, lighter things, and I pushed her concerns out of my mind. But her question lingered. When had my family last done something specifically for me? I couldn't remember. Every birthday was a casual acknowledgement, maybe a card, maybe a phone call. Every holiday was about the whole family, never about celebrating me individually. Every conversation focused on someone else's news, someone else's problems, someone else's life. I told myself it didn't matter. I told myself I didn't need constant attention or validation. I was an adult with my own life, and I didn't need my family to make me feel special. But Rachel's question had planted a seed of doubt that I couldn't quite shake. 2 weeks later, I got a text message in a family group chat that changed everything. It was from Mom, and it was sent at 9 in the morning on a Tuesday while I was in a meeting at work. The text read, "Exciting news everyone. Dad and I are treating the family to a vacation in Cancun. We leave October 15th for 1 week. We've booked an all-inclusive resort. Vanessa and Blake, you're in. Marcus, you're in. Gabby and Julian, you're in. We're going to have such a wonderful time as a family. Start looking at flights." I stared at my phone, reading the message 3 times. I was sitting in a conference room surrounded by colleagues, but I felt completely alone. Mom had listed everyone who was going. Vanessa and her husband Blake. Marcus. Gabriella and Julian. Mom and Dad. Everyone except me. I waited for the follow-up message that would include me. It didn't come. The group chat exploded with excitement. Vanessa sent 3 exclamation points and a heart emoji. Marcus sent a gif of someone dancing on a beach. The twins sent a string of sun and palm tree emojis. Everyone was thrilled. I sat there feeling like I'd been slapped. Had Mom forgotten to include me? Was this an oversight? I typed out a message asking if I was invited, then deleted it. I didn't want to seem desperate or needy. I waited to see if anyone would notice that I hadn't been mentioned. Nobody did. The conversation continued without me. They talked about what to pack, what excursions to book, whether to get travel insurance. An hour passed. 2 hours. By lunchtime, they'd moved on to discussing which restaurants at the resort looked best. Still, nobody had mentioned my name. I finally texted Mom privately. "Hey, I saw your message about Cancun. Am I invited?" The 3 dots appeared showing she was typing. They disappeared. They appeared again. Finally, her response came through. "Oh honey, we didn't think you'd be able to get time off work on such short notice. Plus the resort package we found was for 8 people, and that's exactly how many we have with everyone else. We didn't want to make you feel bad about missing out, so we just didn't mention it. You understand, right?" I read that message sitting in my car in the parking lot during my lunch break. I read it 5 times, trying to make the words mean something other than what they clearly meant. They hadn't invited me because they didn't want me there. The excuse about 8 people was obviously fabricated. Resorts don't work that way. They could have booked another room. They could have asked me if I wanted to go before making assumptions about my work schedule. They simply didn't want me there, and they thought the kindest thing to do was exclude me without explanation. I should have confronted them right then. I should have called Mom or posted in the group chat asking why I was being left out. But I didn't. Instead, I felt that familiar middle child instinct kick in. The one that says don't make waves, don't cause problems, don't make them feel bad about not choosing you. I texted back a message that made me hate myself even as I typed it. "Okay, no worries. Hope you guys have a great time." Mom sent back a smiley face and a heart. That was it. No apology. No acknowledgement that excluding one of their children from a family vacation might be hurtful. Just a smiley face and a heart. And then silence. I sat in my car and cried. I cried in a way I hadn't cried since I was a teenager, feeling invisible in my own family. I cried because the message was clear. I didn't matter enough to be included. I was the forgotten middle child, and I always would be. For the next 3 weeks, I watched the group chat fill with excitement about the trip. They discussed what to pack, shared links to resort reviews, coordinated their flights. I watched all of it happening without me. Part of me kept hoping someone would say something, would notice that I'd been excluded, would advocate for me. Vanessa, maybe, since we used to be close when we were younger. Or the twins, who I'd always felt protective of. But nobody said anything. They were all too excited about their free vacation to care that their sister and daughter wasn't invited. I threw myself into work to distract myself. I took on extra projects. I volunteered to lead a new client pitch that nobody else wanted. I worked late every night, and came in early every morning. My boss noticed and praised my dedication, which felt good even though I knew I was just running away from my feelings. Rachel noticed too. When we met for our regular coffee date, she took one look at me and knew something was wrong. What happened? She asked. I told her about the Cancun trip. I told her about being excluded, about the casual way my mother had dismissed my feelings, about watching everyone else get excited in the group chat while I sat on the sidelines. Rachel's expression grew darker as I spoke. That's not okay, Maya. That's actually really messed up. Did you tell them how you feel? I shook my head. What's the point? They made their choice. If I complain, I'll just be the difficult middle child causing drama. I'd rather just let it go. Let it go. They're taking a family vacation and deliberately excluding you. That's not something you just let go. What am I supposed to do, Rachel? Force them to want me there? Show up uninvited? I can't make them include me if they don't want to. Rachel reached across the table and grabbed my hand. You deserve better than this. You know that, right? You deserve a family that values you and includes you and treats you like you matter. I pulled my hand away, feeling my throat get tight. I know, but this is the family I have. I can't change them. I can only change how I react to them. And how are you going to react? I'm going to be fine. I'm going to work on myself and focus on my own life and stop expecting them to be different than they are. Rachel looked like she wanted to argue, but she could see I was done talking about it. We moved on to other topics, but I could feel her concern radiating across the table. She thought I was making a mistake by staying quiet. She was probably right. October 15th arrived. I woke up that morning knowing my family was flying to Cancun without me. I went through my usual routine like it was any other day. I made coffee. I got ready for work. I drove to my office. I sat through meetings and responded to emails and pretended everything was normal. That evening, the photos started appearing on social media. Mom posted a picture of everyone at the airport, holding their boarding passes and grinning. The caption read, "Family vacation time. So blessed to have these amazing people in my life." There was Vanessa and Blake, Marcus, the twins' mom and dad. 7 smiling faces. Everyone except me. The comments poured in from family, friends, and distant relatives. Have so much fun. You deserve it. Family is everything. What a beautiful crew. I scrolled through them feeling sick. Did any of these people notice I wasn't in the photo? Did they wonder where I was? Or was my absence so expected, so normal, that nobody even questioned it? More photos came over the next few days. The family at the resort pool. The family at dinner. The family on a snorkeling excursion. The family getting spa treatments. Every photo was a reminder that I wasn't wanted, wasn't missed, wasn't thought about. I stopped looking at social media. I muted the family group chat. I tried to focus on work and my own life. I told myself I was being mature, that I was rising above petty feelings, that I was learning to be independent from my family's validation. But mostly I just felt hollow. Then, for days into their trip, I couldn't sleep. It was 2 a.m. and I was lying in bed staring at the ceiling, my mind racing with thoughts I'd been trying to suppress. I grabbed my phone and opened my banking app, something I did religiously to track my spending and maintain my budget. I navigated to my credit card account and pulled up recent transactions. That's when I saw them. Charges from Cancun. Charges dated from the past 4 days. Charges I definitely hadn't made. The first one was from October 15th, the day they flew out. $2,300 to an airline, marked as first-class tickets. My heart started pounding. I scrolled down. October 16th, $3,400 to the Oasis Grand Resort in Cancun, marked as room charges. October 17th, $800 at the resort spa. $600 for an all-inclusive food package upgrade. October 18th, $400 for jet ski rentals. $300 at the resort gift shop. I scrolled through every charge, my hands shaking, my breath coming faster. The total kept climbing. $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. Every single expense from their vacation was being charged to my credit card. The card that was supposed to be on file only for that hotel stay a year and a half ago. The card that I'd assumed had been removed from their account. They'd kept my card information. And now they were using it to fund their entire family vacation. The family vacation they'd deliberately excluded me from. They were charging thousands of dollars of expenses to my account while I sat at home alone. Not invited, not wanted, not even worth the courtesy of an honest conversation. I got out of bed and paced my apartment, phone clutched in my hand, staring at the charges. This couldn't be real. This had to be some kind of mistake. Maybe someone had stolen my card information and was coincidentally using it in Cancun at the exact same time my family was there. But I knew that wasn't true. The charges were too specific, too perfectly timed with their trip. My mother had kept my card on file. Whether it was deliberate or careless, I didn't know. But she'd kept it, and now she was using it. Or maybe she'd given the information to the resort and told them to charge everything to the card on file. Either way, the result was the same. My family was spending my money on their vacation. The vacation I wasn't invited to, and they hadn't even bothered to ask my permission. I felt rage building in my chest, hot and fierce. This wasn't about the money, not really, although $17,000 was a devastating amount for me. This was about the breathtaking disrespect, the casual cruelty, the absolute certainty they must have felt that I would just accept this. That I would see the charges, pay the bill, and never say anything because that's what Maya does. Maya is reliable. Maya doesn't make waves. Maya takes care of everyone else and never complains. I opened my laptop and logged into my credit card account on the larger screen. I went through every charge carefully, taking screenshots, making notes. I documented everything. Then I looked up the customer service number for my credit card company. It was 2:30 in the morning, but they had 24-hour support. I called. A representative named Jennifer answered after 2 rings. "Thank you for calling, this is Jennifer. How can I help you today?" My voice was steadier than I expected. "I need to report fraudulent charges on my account. Multiple charges over the past 4 days that I didn't authorize." "I'm so sorry to hear that, ma'am. I can definitely help you with that. Can I get your account number, please?" I gave her my information and verified my identity. Then I went through each charge, one by one, telling her that I didn't authorize them, that I didn't make them, that they were fraudulent. Jennifer was professional and sympathetic. She put temporary credits on my account for all the disputed charges and started a fraud investigation. Then she asked the question I'd been waiting for. "Ma'am, for security purposes, I need to cancel this card and issue you a new one with a different number. Is that okay?" "Yes," I said. "Please do that immediately. Your new card will arrive in 7 to 10 business days. In the meantime, your current card number will be deactivated within the next 2 hours." "Perfect. Thank you. Is there anything else I can help you with tonight?" "No, that's everything. Thank you for your help." I hung up and sat in the dark living room, my laptop glowing in front of me. In 2 hours, my credit card would be deactivated. Every charge my family tried to make after that would be declined. They were in Cancun for 3 more days. 3 more days of having their card declined at restaurants and excursions in shops. 3 more days of confusion and embarrassment and, hopefully, realization. I knew what I'd just done would cause an explosion. I knew my phone would start ringing as soon as they tried to use the card, and it didn't work. I knew there would be anger and accusations and demands for explanations. But sitting there in my apartment at 3 in the morning, looking at $17,000 in fraudulent charges, I felt something I hadn't felt in a very long time. I felt powerful. I felt like I mattered. I felt like I was finally standing up for myself, instead of accepting whatever scraps of respect my family decided to throw my way. I went back to bed, but I didn't sleep. I lay there thinking about everything that had led to this moment. Years of being overlooked. Years of giving without receiving. Years of showing up for everyone while nobody showed up for me. Years of telling myself it was fine, I was fine, this was just how families worked. Years of being wrong. The sun came up and I got ready for work like normal. I checked my credit card app and saw that the temporary credits had posted. The fraudulent charges were no longer showing as amounts I owed. I felt a grim satisfaction. I went to my office and tried to focus on my work, but I kept checking my phone, waiting for the inevitable. The call came at 11:30 in the morning Pacific time, which would have been 1:30 in Cancun. It was Mom. I let it ring. She called again immediately. I let that one ring too. Then I got a text message. Maya, call me right now, this is an emergency, I didn't call. Instead I texted back, I'm at work. What's wrong? The 3 dots appeared and disappeared several times. Finally, her message came through, and I could feel the anger radiating through the screen. Your credit card isn't working and the resort is saying it's been canceled. We have charges that need to be paid, and we can't access the account. You need to fix this immediately. I stared at that message. The entitlement in it was staggering. She didn't ask what happened. She didn't apologize for using my card without permission. She just demanded that I fix it so they could keep spending my money. I took a deep breath and typed my response. I canceled the card because someone was making fraudulent charges on it. I've reported it to my credit card company, and they're investigating. This time the response was immediate. What are you talking about? What fraudulent charges? I typed slowly and deliberately, choosing each word with care. Charges from Cancun. Thousands of dollars in charges that I didn't make and didn't authorize. My credit card company is treating them as fraud. The card is permanently canceled. You'll need to use your own payment methods for the rest of your trip. I hit send and waited. The 3 dots appeared and disappeared. Appeared and disappeared. I imagine Mom standing in the resort lobby, face red, trying to figure out how to respond. Finally, another message came. Maya, those charges are for the family vacation. Dad and I were going to pay you back when we got home. This is just a misunderstanding. You need to call the credit card company and tell them these charges are legitimate. I felt that rage surge again. A misunderstanding. That's what she was calling it. Not theft. Not fraud. Not a complete violation of trust and boundaries. Just a misunderstanding. I typed my response carefully. You used my credit card without my permission. That's fraud, Mom. I never authorized you to charge anything to my card. The charges are disputed and will remain disputed. Figure out another way to pay for your vacation. Her next message came fast and furious. How dare you do this to us? We're your family. We're stuck in Mexico and you're making this difficult for no reason. I thought we could trust you. This is so selfish and childish. I stared at my mother's text message calling me selfish and childish, and something inside me snapped. For 38 years, I'd swallowed my feelings, accepted being treated as lesser, convinced myself that keeping the peace was more important than standing up for myself. Not anymore. I typed back with fingers that weren't shaking at all. I was calm. I was clear. I was done. Selfish is using someone's credit card without permission. Childish is throwing a tantrum when you get caught. You took $17,000 from me, Mom. $17,000. For a vacation you didn't even invite me to. I'm not the problem here. You are. I hit send and immediately muted the conversation. I didn't want to see her response. I didn't want to engage anymore. I put my phone face down on my desk and tried to return to the presentation I was supposed to be working on, but my hands were trembling with adrenaline. My coworker Lisa poked her head into my cubicle about 10 minutes later. She was a friendly woman in her 50s who sat in the cube next to mine and always brought in homemade cookies on Fridays. Hey Maya, you okay? You look a little pale. I'm fine, I said automatically. Then I stopped myself. Actually, no. I'm not fine. I just found out my family has been charging their vacation to my credit card without telling me. I just canceled the card while they're still on the trip. Lisa's eyes went wide. Oh my God. Are you serious? Completely serious. $17,000 worth of charges. She came all the way into my cubicle and sat down in my extra chair. Maya, that's theft. That's actual theft. Have you called the police? I hadn't even thought about calling the police. The credit card company is handling it as fraud. I disputed all the charges. I don't know if I want to involve the police. It's my family. Honey, family doesn't steal from you. Lisa's voice was gentle but firm. My sister tried to pull something similar with me years ago. Used my identity to open credit cards. I had to file a police report to protect myself. Sometimes family is the worst kind of thief because they think they can get away with it. I felt tears threatening and blinked them back. I don't know what to do. I just know I couldn't let them keep spending my money like I don't matter. You did the right thing. Lisa reached over and squeezed my hand. And if you need to talk or need help figuring out next steps, I'm here. My sister-in-law is a lawyer. I can get you her number if you want. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Lisa left and I sat there feeling overwhelmed. This was becoming bigger than I'd anticipated. I'd thought canceling the card would be enough, would send a message, would make them stop. But now I was thinking about police reports and lawyers, and the very real possibility that this would blow up my entire family. My phone buzzed constantly for the next hour. I'd muted Mom's texts, but apparently she'd moved on to calling repeatedly. When I didn't answer, she must have told everyone else what happened because then the calls started coming from Vanessa, from Marcus, from the twins. Everyone wanted to yell at me for ruining their vacation. I ignored all of them. Finally, at around 2 in the afternoon, I got a text from my dad. His messages were rare. He usually let Mom handle all family communication. The text was short and to the point. Maya, your mother is very upset. This is causing problems for the whole family. Please call the credit card company and straighten this out. We can discuss it when we get home. I read that message 3 times. Not an apology. Not an acknowledgement that they'd done something wrong. Just a command to fix the problem I'd created by daring to protect my own money. I didn't respond. By the end of the workday, I had 47 missed calls and over 100 text messages. I didn't read most of them. The few I did glance at were variations on the same theme. How could I do this to them? Didn't I understand they were going to pay me back? I was being dramatic and difficult. I was embarrassing them in front of the resort staff. I was ruining what was supposed to be a special family bonding experience. The irony of that last one almost made me laugh. Family bonding. The family that deliberately excluded me was upset that I wasn't funding their bonding experience. I drove home in a daze. My apartment felt too quiet when I walked in. I dropped my bag by the door and sank onto my couch, finally letting myself feel the full weight of what had happened. My family had stolen from me. There was no other word for it. They had taken my credit card information that I'd given them for one specific, limited purpose over a year ago, and they'd used it to fund an extravagant vacation without even asking if it was okay. And they'd done it while excluding me from that same vacation. That was the part that hurt the most. If they'd invited me and then asked to use my card with a promise to pay me back, it still would have been inappropriate, but at least I would have been included. Instead, they'd cut me out and then helped themselves to my money like I was just a convenient ATM. I ordered Thai food for dinner because I couldn't bring myself to cook. While I waited for delivery, I finally made myself look through more of the text messages. Vanessa's were particularly harsh. Mom is crying because of you. Do you have any idea how humiliating this is? The resort manager had to come talk to us because charges keep getting declined. Blake had to put everything on his card. You're being completely unreasonable. This is classic middle child attention-seeking behavior. Grow up. I felt anger flare hot in my chest. Middle child attention-seeking behavior. That's what she was calling it. Not self-defense. Not boundary setting. Just me trying to get attention like a petulant teenager. I typed back before I could stop myself. You know what's attention-seeking, Vanessa? Posting 50 photos of your vacation on social media to make sure everyone knows how blessed you are. You know what's grown up? Not stealing from your sister to fund your resort stay. I didn't get invited to this vacation, but I'm somehow supposed to pay for it? That's not how it works. Her response came within seconds. Nobody stole anything. Mom and Dad were going to reimburse you. You're making a huge deal out of nothing. And you weren't invited because honestly, Maya, you're not fun to be around lately. You're always so serious and judgmental. We wanted this trip to be relaxing. I stared at that message for a long time. You're not fun to be around. There it was. The real reason. Not the made-up excuse about 8-person packages or my work schedule. They simply didn't want me there because I wasn't fun enough. I was too serious, too boring, too much of a downer to include in their perfect family vacation. I didn't respond to Vanessa. There was nothing to say that would make her understand. Instead, I blocked her number. Then I blocked Marcus's number. Then I blocked the twins' numbers. I kept Mom and Dad unblocked because I had a feeling I'd need to communicate with them about the financial situation. But I muted their conversations so I wouldn't get notifications. The Thai food arrived and I ate it without tasting it. I turned on the television and stared at it without seeing what was playing. My mind was racing through everything that had happened, everything that had been said, trying to understand how my family could treat me this way and genuinely believe they were the victims. Around 9 that evening, my phone rang from a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello? Maya? It's Blake. Vanessa's husband. His voice sounded strained. Look, I know things are really tense right now, but I wanted to call you directly because I think there's been a serious miscommunication. I sat up straighter. Okay, I'm listening. Your mom didn't realize she still had your card on file from that wedding hotel situation. When she was booking the Cancun trip, the resort asked for a credit card, and she just gave them the number she had in her records. She honestly thought it was fine because she was planning to pay you back as soon as we got home. She wasn't trying to steal from you. Blake, even if that's true, and I'm not sure it is, nobody asked me. Nobody told me they were going to charge anything to my card. I found out by checking my statement and seeing $17,000 in charges. That's not a miscommunication. That's using my financial information without my consent. I understand you're upset, but you have to see how this looks from our perspective. We're stuck in Mexico, we can't pay for anything, and you won't help us sort it out. Vanessa is stressed, your mom is devastated, and honestly this whole thing could have been avoided if you just answered your phone when they first called. So this is my fault? I felt my voice rising. I'm the bad guy because I protected my own money? I'm not saying you're the bad guy. I'm saying maybe you overreacted a little bit. You could have called your mom, gotten the explanation, and worked something out. Instead you immediately canceled the card, and now we're all dealing with the fallout. The fallout from them stealing from me, Blake. The fallout from them using my money without permission. I didn't create this situation. They did. He sighed heavily. Look, Maya, I like you. You've always been good to Vanessa and the kids. But you have to admit, you can be a little rigid sometimes. A little black and white. Family situations require flexibility. They require understanding that sometimes people make mistakes. This wasn't a mistake. This was a choice. Multiple choices, actually. The choice not to invite me. The choice to use my card. The choice not to tell me. The choice to spend $17,000 of my dollars. Those aren't mistakes, Blake. Those are deliberate actions. Fine. If that's how you want to see it. But just so you know, I had to put $8,000 on my personal card today to cover resort charges, because yours got declined. $8,000 that I wasn't planning to spend. So your little protest is costing me money too. I felt a stab of guilt, then got angry at myself for feeling guilty. That's not my problem, Blake. If you choose to cover charges that my parents racked up, that's between you and them. I'm not responsible for that. Wow. Okay. I thought you were better than this, Maya. I really did. Vanessa was right about you. He hung up before I could respond. I sat there holding my phone, feeling shaky. The guilt was stronger now. Blake was a decent guy. He'd always been kind to me. And now he was out $8,000 because of my actions. Except they weren't really my actions, were they? He was out $8,000 because my parents had used my credit card without permission, and then he'd chosen to cover the charges when my card got declined. I called Rachel. She answered on the second ring. Maya, hi. What's up? I told her everything. The charges, the canceled card, the explosion of angry messages, Blake's phone call. Rachel listened without interrupting until I finished. First of all, you did exactly the right thing. Rachel's voice was firm and clear. Second, do not let them make you feel guilty. They stole from you. The fact that they're now facing consequences for their theft is not your fault. And third, you need to document everything. Every text message, every call, every interaction. Screenshot it all, and save it somewhere safe. Why? You think this is going to get worse? I think your family is going to try very hard to make you the villain in this story. They're going to twist things and pressure you and try to make you back down. You need evidence of what really happened in case you need to protect yourself legally. Legally? Rachel, I can't sue my own family. I'm not saying you will. I'm saying you might need to. If they try to force you to pay those charges, if they try to claim you authorized them, you need proof of what actually happened. Just document everything, okay? Promise me. Okay. I promise. And Maya? You're not alone in this. I'm here. If you need legal help, I can help you or connect you with someone who can. Don't let them isolate you and make you think you're crazy. You're not. They're the ones who are wrong here. After I hung up with Rachel, I spent 2 hours going through my phone and taking screenshots of everything. Every text message from Mom, from Vanessa, from Marcus, from Blake. I saved them all to a folder on my laptop and backed them up to cloud storage. I documented the timeline of events. I saved the credit card statements showing the charges and the disputes. Rachel was right. I needed evidence. The next day at work was strange. I felt disconnected from everything, like I was moving through water. I couldn't focus on my tasks. I kept checking my phone even though I'd blocked most of my family. The calls from my parents' numbers kept coming through. I ignored them all. At lunch, Lisa found me in the break room and sat down across from me. So, how are you holding up? I'm okay. Tired. My whole family is mad at me. Because you wouldn't let them steal from you? When you put it that way, it sounds so obvious. But they don't see it as stealing. They see it as me being difficult about money that they were going to pay back anyway. Maya, can I tell you something? Lisa leaned forward. When my sister stole my identity, she said the same thing. She was going to pay it back. She just needed help temporarily. She didn't think I'd mind. But here's the thing. If she really believed all that, she would have asked me first. The fact that she did it in secret tells you everything you need to know about whether she thought it was okay. That hit me hard. Lisa was right. If my parents really thought using my card was fine, if they really believed I wouldn't mind, they would have asked me first. They would have said, "Hey Maya, we kept your card on file from that hotel situation. Is it okay if we use it for the Cancun trip and pay you back when we get home?" But they hadn't asked. They'd done it secretly and hoped I wouldn't notice or wouldn't care. My phone buzzed with a call from my dad's number. For some reason, I answered this time. Maya. Dad's voice was stern, his principal voice, the one he used to use when I was in trouble as a kid. This has gone on long enough. Your mother is beside herself. You need to call the credit card company and tell them those charges were authorized. No, Dad. I'm not doing that. Those charges were not authorized. I never gave permission for anyone to use my card. You gave your mother the card information for the hotel. That's authorization. For one specific hotel stay that I was reimbursed for. Not for ongoing unlimited use. You don't get to keep someone's credit card information and use it whenever you want. That's not how it works. Don't take that tone with me. I'm your father. We raised you better than this. You raised me to stand up for myself. You raised me to be responsible with money. You raised me not to let people take advantage of me. That's exactly what I'm doing. We are not taking advantage of you. His voice was getting louder. We're your parents. Everything we do is for this family. Your mother worked hard to plan this vacation for everyone. She deserves to enjoy it without this stress. She planned it for everyone except me, I said quietly. I wasn't invited, Dad. You all went on a family vacation without me. And now you're expecting me to pay for it. How is that fair? There was a long pause. When Dad spoke again, his voice was different. Quieter, but somehow colder. You weren't invited because we knew you'd make it difficult. You'd complain about the resort or the activities or something. You always find something to be negative about. We wanted 1 week of peace as a family. I felt like he'd punched me in the stomach. So you admit it. You deliberately excluded me. We made a choice about who would make the trip pleasant. That's not the same as excluding you. And frankly, given how you're behaving now, we made the right choice. I hung up. I didn't trust myself to speak without crying, and I wasn't going to give him the satisfaction of hearing me break down. I sat in the break room with my phone in my hand, trying to process what my father had just said. They'd excluded me because I'd make things difficult. Because I'd be negative. Because they wanted peace. And apparently my presence was incompatible with peace. Lisa put her hand on my shoulder. Whatever they just said to you, don't let it in. Don't let them rewrite reality. You know the truth. But I was already letting it in. I was already questioning myself. Was I too negative? Did I complain too much? Was I the problem in my family dynamic? Had I driven them to exclude me through my own behavior? I went back to my desk and tried to work, but my mind wouldn't stop racing. I pulled up old family photos on my Facebook, scrolling back through years of holidays and birthdays and gatherings. In every photo, I looked fine. Smiling. Present. Not obviously negative or difficult. But maybe that was just in photos. Maybe in person I was different. Maybe I was the problem and I'd been too blind to see it. My phone buzzed with a text from a number I didn't recognize. I opened it cautiously. Maya, this is Julian. Please don't block this number. I just want to talk. I swear I'm not calling to yell at you. I stared at that message. Julian was one of the twins, the quieter one. He and I had always had an easier relationship than I had with the others. He was an artist who painted murals and barely made enough to survive, but he was happy. We used to talk about art and books when the family got together. I decided to respond. Okay. I'm listening. My phone rang immediately. I answered. Hey, Julian said. His voice sounded tired. I'm calling from Gabi's phone because I figured you blocked mine. Listen, I need to tell you something and I need you to hear me out. Okay. What Mom and Dad did was wrong. Using your card without asking was wrong. Not inviting you was wrong. The way everyone is treating you right now is wrong. I just wanted you to know that at least one person in this family sees that. I felt tears spring to my eyes. Thank you. You have no idea how much I needed to hear that. I tried to tell Mom that we should have included you. When she was planning the trip and making the list of who was coming, I asked about you. She said you'd be too busy with work and probably wouldn't want to come anyway. I should have pushed harder. I should have insisted. I'm sorry. It's not your fault, Julian. Kind of as though. I went along with it. We all did. And now we're all reaping what we sowed. The last 2 days have been a nightmare. Mom and Dad fighting with the resort staff. Vanessa and Blake arguing about money. Marcus trying to act like everything is fine while we're all miserable. This whole trip has been a disaster. Good, I said, then immediately felt bad for saying it. No, you're right. It should be a disaster. We came on this vacation that was supposed to be about family, and we deliberately left out a member of our family. Then we used that family member's money to pay for it. That's pretty much the definition of karma. Are they planning to pay me back? I asked. Blake said they intended to reimburse me when they got home. Julian was quiet for a moment. Honestly, I don't think they have the money. I think that's why they used your card in the first place. Mom and Dad's retirement fund took a hit last year when Dad made some bad investments. I don't think they can afford to pay you back $17,000. My stomach dropped. So this was never about planning to reimburse me. This was about not having the money for the vacation in the first place, and deciding I would be an easy target. I think so, Julian said quietly. I think they thought they could use your card, have the vacation, and then either you wouldn't notice or you'd just accept it. They didn't expect you to fight back. I'm not a doormat, Julian. I know. And honestly, I'm glad you're standing up for yourself. Somebody needed to. We've all treated you like you don't matter for too long. After I hung up with Julian, I sat at my desk feeling numb. Everything was worse than I'd thought. My parents hadn't made a careless mistake. They'd deliberately used my card because they couldn't afford the vacation otherwise. They'd gambled that I wouldn't notice or wouldn't make a fuss if I did. They'd gambled wrong. The rest of the afternoon crept by. I couldn't concentrate on anything. Finally, at 4:30, my boss Amanda stopped by my desk. She was a sharp woman in her early 40s who I'd always respected. "Maya, can we talk in my office for a minute?" My heart sank. Had I messed up something at work? Had someone complained about my distraction? I followed her to her office and sat down. Amanda closed the door and sat across from me. "I'm not going to pretend I haven't noticed you've been off the last couple days. Lisa mentioned you're dealing with a family situation. Do you need some time off?" I felt relief wash over me. "I'm okay to work. Honestly, work is the only thing keeping me sane right now." "I get that. But I also want you to know that if you need a few days to sort things out, that's available. You've been with the company for 6 years, and you've never taken a personal day. You've got the time banked." "Thank you. I really appreciate that. I'll let you know if I need it." Amanda nodded, then hesitated. "Can I offer some unsolicited advice?" "Sure. Whatever is happening with your family, don't let them make you feel guilty for having boundaries. I see this all the time with women especially. We're socialized to be caretakers and peacekeepers, and when we finally stand up for ourselves, we're told we're being selfish or difficult. It's garbage. You're allowed to protect yourself, even from family. Especially from family." I felt tears threatening again. "Thank you, Amanda. I really needed to hear that. Take care of yourself, Maya. That's an order from your boss." I left work at 5 and drove home, feeling emotionally wrung out. When I got to my apartment, there was a package waiting outside my door. I picked it up, confused. I hadn't ordered anything. Then I saw the return address. It was from Vanessa. I brought the package inside and opened it carefully. Inside was a framed photo of the family at the Cancun resort. Everyone smiling on the beach. Everyone except me, obviously. There was a note attached in Vanessa's handwriting. "Since you couldn't be there, we thought you'd like a photo to remember what you missed. Maybe next time you'll be more supportive when your family tries to include you." I stared at that photo and that note for a long time. The cruelty of it was breathtaking. They'd sent me a physical reminder of my exclusion, wrapped up as a gift, with a note suggesting that I was the one who'd failed to be supportive. The manipulation was so blatant, it was almost impressive. I took the photo and the note and put them in a drawer. More evidence for the file Rachel had told me to keep. Then I poured myself a glass of wine and sat on my couch, trying to figure out what to do next. My family was supposed to fly home tomorrow. That meant by this time tomorrow night, they'd be back in Seattle, back to their normal lives. And I'd have to face whatever came next. Would they demand I pay the credit card charges? Would they take me to small claims court? Would they spread lies about me to the extended family? Would they cut me out of future events permanently? Part of me felt scared about those possibilities. But a bigger part of me felt free. I'd spent 38 years trying to earn their love and approval, trying to be good enough, trying to matter. And I'd finally realized that nothing I did would ever be enough because the problem wasn't me. The problem was them. They didn't value me. They didn't respect me. They didn't even particularly like me. I was useful when they needed something, invisible when they didn't. And I was done accepting that as normal. My phone buzzed with an email notification. It was from my credit card company. The investigation into the fraudulent charges had been completed. All $17,000 had been permanently credited back to my account. The charges were officially determined to be unauthorized. I had been found credible in my dispute. The case was closed. I read that email 3 times, feeling a weight lift off my shoulders. It was official. I wasn't responsible for those charges. My credit card company had sided with me. The money was back in my account where it belonged. I forwarded the email to Rachel with a simple message. "It's done. They ruled in my favor." She responded within minutes. "I knew they would. You told the truth and you had evidence. That's all it takes. Now the question is, what happens with your family?" "I don't know," I typed back. "But I think I'm ready to find out." The next evening, I knew my family's flight was scheduled to land at 8 p.m. I spent the day in a strange state of anticipation, waiting for whatever explosion was coming. But the evening came and went with no contact. 9 p.m. passed. 10 p.m. 11 p.m. Nothing. Finally, at 11:30, I got a text from Mom. "We're home. We need to talk. Come to the house this Sunday. This has to be resolved." I stared at that text. "We need to talk. This has to be resolved." Like I was a child being summoned to the principal's office. Like I was the one who needed to explain myself. I didn't respond. Saturday passed quietly. I did laundry and went grocery shopping and tried to enjoy my weekend. Every time I thought about the impending confrontation, my stomach twisted with anxiety. But I also felt resolute. I wasn't going to back down. I wasn't going to apologize for protecting myself. Sunday morning, I woke up early. I made coffee and sat on my couch, trying to decide whether to go to my parents' house. Part of me wanted to refuse, wanted to make them come to me, wanted to set the terms of this confrontation. But another part of me knew that avoiding it would only drag things out. I called Rachel at 9 a.m. "I know it's early on a Sunday, but I need advice. I'm up. What's going on? My parents want me to come to their house today to resolve this. Should I go? Do you feel safe going? Physically? Yes. They're not violent. Emotionally? I don't know. But I think I need to face them. I need to hear what they have to say, and I need to say what I need to say." "Okay. Then here's what you do. You go, but you set boundaries. You tell them you'll give them 1 hour to talk. You don't apologize for anything. You state facts. You stay calm. And if they start yelling or manipulating, you leave. Don't let them trap you there." Should I record the conversation? Legally, that depends on whether Oregon is a one-party or two-party consent state. Let me check. There was a pause while Rachel looked it up. Okay, Oregon is a one-party consent state. That means you can record a conversation you're part of without telling the other people. So yes, if you want to protect yourself, record it on your phone. I will. Thank you, Rachel. Call me when it's over. I want to know you're okay. I got dressed carefully, choosing clothes that made me feel confident. Jeans and a sweater, nothing fancy, but clean and put together. I set my phone to record audio and put it in my purse. Then I got in my car and started the 3-hour drive to Seattle. The drive to Seattle felt longer than usual. Every mile brought me closer to a conversation I'd been avoiding my entire life. My hands gripped the steering wheel tighter than necessary as I rehearsed what I wanted to say. I wouldn't cry. I wouldn't back down. I wouldn't let them twist this into being my fault. When I pulled into my parents' driveway at noon, I saw Vanessa's SUV already parked there. Marcus's truck too. The twins' beat-up sedan. Everyone was here. This wasn't going to be a private conversation with my parents. This was going to be an intervention with the entire family lined up against me. I sat in my car for 5 minutes, gathering my courage. My phone was recording in my purse. I could do this. I had to do this. I stepped out of the car and walked to the front door. Before I could knock, Mom opened it. She looked terrible. Her eyes were red and puffy, her hair uncombed. She'd aged 10 years in a week. For a split second, I felt guilty. Then I remembered why she looked that way. "Come in," she said flatly. "Everyone's in the living room." I walked into the house I'd grown up in. The house that should have felt like home but suddenly felt like enemy territory. The living room was full. Dad sat in his recliner looking stern. Vanessa and Blake on the couch. Marcus in the armchair. The twins on the floor. All of them staring at me like I'd committed murder. I remained standing near the doorway. I wasn't sitting down. I wasn't getting comfortable. This wasn't a social visit. Maya, Dad started. His voice had that controlled anger that meant he was furious, but trying to appear reasonable. "We asked you here because this situation has gotten completely out of hand. You've caused significant financial harm to this family and tremendous emotional distress to your mother. We need to find a resolution." I caused financial harm? My voice was steady. I'm not the one who charged $17,000 to someone else's credit card without permission. Your mother has explained that was an honest mistake, Dad continued. She had your card information from the hotel situation and didn't realize she needed to ask before using it again. You've blown this completely out of proportion. If it was an honest mistake, why didn't anyone tell me about it? Why did I have to discover it by checking my own statement? We were going to tell you when we got back, Mom said. Her voice was shaky, theatrical. We were going to pay you back everything. You didn't give us a chance. I had $17,000 in unauthorized charges on my card. I did exactly what anyone would do. I reported fraud and canceled the card. The credit card company investigated and sided with me. That should tell you something. Vanessa leaned forward. The credit card company doesn't know the full story. They only heard your version. You made us sound like criminals when all that happened was a family misunderstanding about finances. It wasn't a misunderstanding. Nobody asked me. Nobody told me. You all went on a vacation I wasn't invited to and charged it to my card. That's theft. Here we go with the dramatics, Marcus chimed in. Everything is always so black and white with you, Maya. You never learned how to be flexible or understanding. That's why we didn't invite you in the first place. You make everything harder than it needs to be. I looked at Marcus, the brother I'd given $8,000 to when he needed an apartment, the brother who'd never paid me back. So you're admitting I wasn't invited? It wasn't about work schedules or package deals. You just didn't want me there. Can you blame us? Vanessa's voice was sharp. Every family gathering, you sit in the corner looking miserable. Every conversation, you find something to criticize. We wanted 1 week where we could just relax and have fun without walking on eggshells around you. Her words stung, but I refused to let them see it. If that's how you feel about me, then why do you care if I canceled the card? Why do you want me here now? Because you owe us, Blake said. His voice was hard, different from the reasonable tone he'd used on the phone. My personal credit card is maxed out because I had to cover $8,000 in resort charges when your card got declined. Vanessa's parents had to loan us money to cover our bills this month. You've created a financial crisis for us. I created it? You chose to pay for charges that weren't yours. That was your decision. What were we supposed to do? Blake stood up, his face reddening. Let your parents get arrested in Mexico? Let the resort call the police? We had to handle it. My parents could have used their own money. They could have used their credit cards. They could have faced the consequences of their choices. You decided to bail them out. That's not on me. Listen to yourself, Mom's voice broke. You're talking about your own parents like they're strangers. Like we mean nothing to you. After everything we've done for you. All the sacrifices we made raising you, and this is how you repay us. What sacrifices? The words came out harsher than I intended, but I didn't take them back. You raised me the same way you raised everyone else here. You fed me and clothed me and sent me to school. That's what parents are supposed to do. That doesn't give you the right to steal from me. We didn't steal from you, Dad's voice rose. We borrowed. There's a difference. Borrowing requires asking permission. You didn't ask. You took. Because we knew you'd make a big deal about it, Vanessa said. We knew you'd find some reason to say no or make us feel guilty. It was easier to just handle it and pay you back later. So you're admitting you didn't ask because you knew I'd say no. Doesn't that tell you something? If you knew I wouldn't consent, then doing it anyway is definitely theft. The room went silent. I looked at each of their faces. Mom crying into a tissue. Dad red-faced and angry. Vanessa glaring at me with pure hatred. Marcus looking uncomfortable. Blake fuming. The twins not making eye contact. Julian finally spoke up. She's right. His voice was quiet but clear. We did this wrong. We should have invited her. We definitely shouldn't have used her card without asking. Maya has every right to be angry. Stay out of this, Julian, Dad snapped. This doesn't concern you. It concerns all of us. Julian stood up from his spot on the floor. We came here because Maya's the problem, right? That's what we've been saying all week. Maya overreacted. Maya caused problems. Maya ruined the vacation. But none of us want to admit that we caused this. We excluded her, we used her money, and now we're mad that she didn't just accept it. You don't understand, Mom said. We're family. Family helps each other. Family doesn't turn on each other over money. I looked at my mother. If family helps each other, why didn't you help me by asking first? Why didn't you help me by including me in the vacation? You help each other means everyone, Mom. Not everyone except Maya. We've given you plenty over the years, Dad said. We paid for your college. We let you live at home rent-free until you were 23. We helped you buy your first car. You act like we've never done anything for you. You did those things for everyone. You paid for Vanessa's college and Marcus's college twice when he dropped out and went back. You let Marcus live at home until he was 28. You bought all of us our first cars. Those weren't special favors to me. Those were you being parents. So what do you want from us? Vanessa's voice was venomous. An apology? Fine. I'm sorry we didn't invite you on our vacation. I'm sorry we used your card. Are you happy now? Can we move on? That's not an apology. That's you saying words, so I'll drop this. A real apology requires understanding what you did wrong and committing to change. None of you think you did anything wrong. You just want me to pretend this didn't happen. What we want is for you to authorize those charges, Dad said. Tell the credit card company that those purchases were legitimate. Take responsibility for your family, like you should have from the beginning. I felt something harden inside me. No. Mom's voice went shrill. What do you mean no? I mean I'm not authorizing charges I didn't make. The credit card company already ruled in my favor. The charges are not my responsibility. If you spent money you didn't have, that's your problem to solve. Blake stepped toward me. You selfish little brat. Do you have any idea what you've done to us? I had to borrow money from my parents. Vanessa can't pay her mortgage this month. Your parents might have to take out a loan against their house. All because you're too stubborn to help your own family. I stepped back, suddenly aware of how angry he was. Blake had always been calm, reasonable. Now he looked like he wanted to hurt me. I think I should leave. You're not leaving until this is resolved. Dad stood up from his recliner. You came here to talk, and we're going to talk until we find a solution. The solution is that you all face the consequences of your choices. I'm not paying for a vacation I wasn't invited to. I'm not authorizing fraudulent charges. And I'm done being treated like I don't matter. If you walk out that door, you're done with this family, Mom said. Her tears had stopped. Her voice was cold now. If you choose money over us, over your own mother and father, then you're not welcome here anymore. I looked at her, this woman who'd given birth to me, and I felt nothing. No love, no sadness, just emptiness. You're giving me an ultimatum? Pay for your vacation or lose my family. We're asking you to do the right thing. To be part of this family instead of against it. I've been trying to be part of this family my entire life. I've shown up for every event. I've helped whenever anyone asked. I've been reliable and responsible and present. And you still excluded me. You still used me. You still treated me like I was less important than everyone else. So maybe losing this family isn't the threat you think it is. The room erupted. Everyone started talking at once. Vanessa calling me ungrateful. Marcus saying I'd regret this. Mom crying again. Dad shouting that I was making the biggest mistake of my life. Blake saying I'd better watch my back. Only the twins stayed quiet, Gabriella looking shocked and Julian looking sad. I turned and walked toward the door. Vanessa grabbed my arm hard enough to hurt. You're really doing this? You're really choosing to destroy this family over money? I pulled my arm away. I'm not destroying anything. I'm just refusing to be destroyed anymore. There's a difference. I walked out the front door and down the driveway to my car. Behind me, I could hear them spilling out onto the porch, still yelling, still demanding I come back and fix what they'd broken. I got in my car, started the engine, and drove away. In my rearview mirror, I watched them standing there, getting smaller and smaller until they disappeared. I made it about 10 miles before I had to pull over. I sat in a grocery store parking lot and cried harder than I'd cried in years. Not because I was sad about losing them. Because I was grieving the family I'd always wanted but never had. I was mourning the fantasy that someday they'd see me and value me and love me the way I deserved. That fantasy was dead now. And it hurt even though I knew it had never been real. I called Rachel from the parking lot. She answered immediately. Maya? Are you okay? What happened? I told her everything through tears and gasping breaths. The confrontation, the ultimatum, walking out, all of it. Rachel listened without interrupting. When I finished, she said, I'm so proud of you. I know it doesn't feel like it right now, but what you just did took incredible courage. You chose yourself. You set boundaries. You refused to be treated poorly. That's huge. It doesn't feel huge. It feels like I just lost my entire family. You lost people who were treating you terribly. That's not the same as losing family. Real family doesn't steal from you. Real family doesn't exclude you and then demand you pay for their fun. Real family doesn't give you ultimatums about choosing between self-respect and belonging. I know you're right. It just hurts. Of course it hurts. You're allowed to grieve. But Maya? You're also free now. Free to build a life with people who actually value you. Free to stop begging for scraps of affection from people who'll never give you what you need. That freedom is worth the pain. After I hung up with Rachel, I sat in the parking lot for another hour, just processing everything. My phone buzzed with messages from family members. More anger. More accusations. I didn't read them. I'd heard enough. When I finally felt calm enough to drive, I made the 3-hour trip back to Portland. I stopped at a drive-thru and got a burger and fries, comfort food that tasted like childhood. I ate it in my car, watching people go in and out of the restaurant, living their normal Sunday lives. I got home as the sun was setting. My apartment felt like a sanctuary after the hostility of my parents' house. I took a long shower, washing away the entire day. Then I put on soft pajamas and curled up on my couch with a book I'd been meaning to read. My phone kept buzzing. I finally turned it off completely. Whatever they wanted to say could wait. I needed silence. I needed peace. The next few weeks were strange. I felt lighter, like I'd been carrying weight I didn't even know was there. But I also felt lonely. My weekends were suddenly empty without the obligation to drive to Seattle. Holidays loomed on the horizon with no plans. I threw myself into work and friendships. I started having regular dinners with Rachel and Lisa. I joined a book club. I took a pottery class at a community center. I filled my life with people and activities that brought me joy instead of obligation. 2 months after the confrontation, I got a letter in the mail from a law office. My stomach dropped. Were they suing me? I opened it with shaking hands. It was from Blake's attorney. They were demanding I pay the $8,000 Blake had spent covering resort charges, plus legal fees. They claimed I had verbally agreed to reimburse any family expenses related to the trip. It was complete fiction, but there it was in legal letterhead. I called Rachel immediately. She read the letter and laughed. This is garbage. They have no case. But you should respond through an attorney anyway, make it official. I can represent you if you want, or I can recommend someone. I want you. Rachel drafted a response that was professional and devastating. She pointed out that I had never authorized any charges, had never verbally agreed to anything, and had documentation of the credit card company ruling the charges fraudulent. She noted that any further legal action would be considered harassment. She sent it certified mail. We never heard back. Blake's attorney must have told him he had no case. The threat of a lawsuit dissolved like morning fog. Meanwhile, the extended family started reaching out. Aunts and uncles I hadn't heard from in years suddenly wanted to know my side of the story. My mom had been spreading her version to anyone who would listen, painting me as the ungrateful daughter who abandoned her family over money. But people weren't as quick to believe her as she'd expected. Too many of them had their own stories of my parents' entitlement, of favoring certain children over others, of small cruelties they'd witnessed over the years. My story rang true because it fit a pattern. Some family members sided with my parents. Others quietly reached out to me with support. The family fractured along old fault lines that had always been there, just never acknowledged. 6 months later, I got a call from Julian. We'd been texting occasionally, but this was the first time he'd called since the confrontation. Hey Maya. I wanted to let you know that Mom and Dad had to take out a home equity loan. They're struggling financially, and it's getting ugly. Vanessa isn't speaking to them because she thinks they should have handled things differently. Marcus is avoiding them because they keep asking him for money. It's all falling apart. I felt a complicated mix of emotions. Vindication. Sadness. Relief that it wasn't my problem anymore. I'm sorry you're caught in the middle of all that, Julian. I'm not really. I've pulled back too. Watching how they treated you made me realize I've been enabling them for years. We all have. You were the first one brave enough to stop. How are you doing? Better, honestly. I got a big mural commission. I'm painting less and living more. And I've been thinking a lot about family and what it actually means. I think I confused biology with love for too long. Me too. We talked for an hour, really talked, like siblings who actually cared about each other. It was the best conversation I'd had with any family member in years. When we hung up, I felt something I hadn't felt about my family in a long time. Hope. Not hope that things would go back to how they were. Hope that something new and healthier might grow from the ashes. A year after everything happened, I was thriving. I'd gotten a promotion at work. I'd cultivated deep friendships. I'd learned that family isn't just blood, it's the people who show up for you consistently with love and respect. My life was fuller and richer than it had ever been when I was trying to earn my family's approval. I still thought about them sometimes. Wondered how they were doing. Felt twinges of sadness about what might have been. But I didn't regret my choices. I'd chosen myself, my dignity, my right to be treated well. And that choice had set me free. Standing up to my family was the hardest thing I'd ever done. But it was also the best thing. Because it taught me that I was worth standing up for. That my peace mattered. That being alone was better than being diminished. And that sometimes, the family you choose is better than the family you're born into. I learned that love without respect isn't really love at all. And I deserved both. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out.